And we're back. Another part 2.
Now let's start up
Okay.
that long music again. Intro.
Yeah, no. Oh, we're not doing the music again. Damn. All right. So
Yeah, you
where
trying to
was
work
I?
on that again? Still? Because you said you were going to try to shorten that, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I'm busy, man. I'm busy. Okay, so where was I on the subject of Apple and bloggers and our culture?
Well,
Yeah, our car.
you were saying about the how they were like self-serving and stuff, which I was going to ask. Do you think they kind of do that just so that they help boost their own ratings and stuff like that?
Well, in a way, yes, because there is a small portion of people who wish that Apple would take so many more chances and stop playing it safe. That a lot of these YouTube, techie bloggers and stuff, tech bloggers, are on that same side. They want to see, more chances and more this, more that. Of course, I mean, over the past 15 years, 16 years, when has Apple done that? You know what I mean? Apple doesn't do these complete yearly redesigns. Apple doesn't, just grab into some bag of tricks and pull something out. Apple doesn't do stuff like that. Apple makes constant products that work. And these tech bloggers are like, well, why can't you be more like Android? Like, well, if you haven't noticed, with the exception of pretty much either the flagship phones or Samsung phones, a lot of these phones that try to integrate these super new features and super cool customization, they suck. They suck. And even a lot of the features that get introduced don't work properly or not at all.
Well, we did a news article before you came on Friday about the one positive thing that looked pretty cool is Apple pretty much put like a Kinect camera inside their phone, so that's pretty new, I think. Something to play around with.
But yeah, but it's also something. It's not. I mean, it's not this type of a feature on the phone that's supposed to, change the way that you use a smartphone. Come on. No, this game has been this game for 10 years now. Pretty much since Apple came out with the iPhone back in 2007 and blew the doors off of everything. And everybody has been either trying to go 5 steps above Apple and generally failed, or tried to keep pace with Apple. And the only thing that you can do to keep pace with Apple is, try to roll out funky new features, which mean little, until Apple grabs the technology, because a lot of it is simple paid technology you can pay for. They have their technicians work on it for a couple of years and actually get it to work correctly, and then they roll it out.
Right.
In all truthfulness, and people can hate it as much as they want, but it's the truth. This is no longer an Apple versus Android type of situation in the marketplace. This is Apple versus Samsung as smartphone makers, and that's it.
And LG does pretty good, I think.
Well, and I've said it before, and I said it on your guys' show. The top Android device maker, period, no question, is Samsung, because Samsung is the only.
I agree with that.
Yeah, Samsung is the only Android maker, and in the early days they weren't, but now they are. Within the past 3 to 4 years, they've really actually concentrated on making products that are actually worth a damn and making the operating benefit. Samsung is Android's best partner.
Yeah.
if anybody wants a product that runs Android successfully, 10 times out of 10, you're going to pick up a Samsung phone or a Samsung tablet because it works that operating system to its fullest potential. And that's really what the market is now. It's no longer, iOS versus Android. It's Apple and Samsung.
Well, the main people I see I see a lot of people using those LG, the what are those called now? The V whatever. I don't know. Well, I see a lot of people using those and like the Moto droids and stuff.
Because a lot of them are cheap. I actually had someone comment on a comment that I had earlier today saying, well, why do I never see people who have Android phones who have broken phones? It's like, well, number one, if you crack an Android phone, 9 times out of 10, that phone's done. And it's cheaper to buy a new phone than it is to replace the screen. With Apple, I have an Apple phone in my drawer right now. It's a 4S. It's got a cracked screen, but still works. My iPhone 6, which, by the way, is the only phone that I personally have ever broken as far as the screen goes, and it wasn't even me dropping the phone and cracking it. Would you like to see the object that cracked the phone on my iPhone 6? Would you like to see that?
Sure.
Now this fell off my desk and onto my phone, which had actually fallen off of my small makeshift table here. And as I was getting ready to bend over and pick it up, this fell off my desk and hit it, and actually spiderwebbed the screen. Now, I've dropped phones before. I've dropped Droid phones. I've dropped Blackberries, and I've dropped iPhones. The iPhones have stood the test of time as far as my drops go, partly also because I put a case on my phone, something that a lot of people do not do. And it takes a hammer, a hefty freaking hammer, to actually dagger my iPhone 6.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, well, 60% of people I know have broken iPhone screens. Well, those are probably the people who don't put a case on their damn phone and or throw it around like it's some throwaway piece of technology.
I have this. This is the LG phone I have is it's pretty cracked, as you can kind of see with the white there.
Yeah.
I dropped this down the stairs, and it still works too. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, it depends on what you do to the phone, I guess,
Yeah. If you treat the dollar, it becomes nothing. And that's the truth. But, it's, and it's also going to partially become a little bit even more obsolete than it already is with, better and better Gorilla Glass on the new phones. So.
Well, I was going to ask, isn't Gorilla Glass, isn't that on both iPhones and Android phones and stuff now?
No, it's not. Not bad at all. Speaking of resistance, one of the other new products they announced was the Apple Watches. New Apple Watch Series 3. Now,
yeah, that was one of the things that you're hating on was wearables and stuff, weren't you?
Yeah. I'm not necessarily a wearables guy. However, in knowing people who have an Apple Watch and how it helps them with their fitness and their everyday general usability of their devices, I want a Series 2, not a Series 3. I could do without a Series 3. I want a Series 2. Here's why. The new watchOS works fantastically with it. Still runs beautifully. If I go swimming or if I know I'm walking out into heavy rain, It has water resistance, and I can set it to eject the water out of the cavity of the speaker. Now you just got to set it before you walk out, and it's pretty scratch resistant as well.
Isn't that what the problem was before with the early wearables and the watches? Was just that the user experience was like too fragmented and stuff with it.
The first the Series 1 Apple Watches were just terrible for usability. You know, as much as they were trying to integrate, it was almost like them running a beta and promising the new updates as they came along. Getting that type of app support for the Apple Watches was something that I wasn't 100% sure that they'd be able to achieve, but they have. I mean, you have Apple Watch apps for almost everything now. It's insane, you know. But like, say, if I'm at work, I can't bust out my phone every time I get a notification, you know, and assuming that, you know, something could be going on, like say I get a text message from my wife, I'd like to be able to check that message, even if it's for 10 seconds to boom, you know. So like having an Apple Watch and the functionality that it now has makes a lot more sense, because it now works into your device instead of just being a heart rate monitor and a watch and a step counter, you know. Wearables, like I said at first, just get a stepper, and then you also have to buy a damn heart rate monitor to go along with it. And also the fact that most of the heart rate monitors out on the market with a lot of the wearables were trash anyways. So like the wearables market as it stands, even now, it's already started to collapse upon itself. Now we're going back into the original days where it was literally just Apple who came in on the back end, but is now being more successful because of how it pairs with your phone, and I think like 3 or 4 other companies. You know, the wearables market is, for the better part, dead. It's not even close anymore. Just like,
do you think Apple would ever get into like the heads up like glasses display kind of thing? Because you see a lot of sunglasses do have like MP3 players and stuff in it, and they had the Google Glass and stuff.
Well,
because if you want real-time notification, that's how you would really get it. That'd be even faster than looking at your watch, see a notification pop up in your lower or like your upper left-hand corner or something.
I would stop short of saying for sure that they will, for the simple fact of how Google Glass was received in the trial run. I mean, it was bad. It was very bad. It was so terrible. I was so surprised of how bad it actually was received, because I thought it would be received a little bit better than it was. Because honestly, it's not a bad idea, and I didn't even think that how it was looking was really a bad unit. You know,
hey, tons of good ideas get butched. You know,
I don't even really think it was really butched. It was actually more of a public thing. I mean, the glasses worked as advertised, which does not happen a lot on a lot of Android stuff. It was fairly inconspicuous. You didn't look like a complete douchebag when you were wearing one. At least I didn't think so. Yeah, that's called people. But it was blown up to such a degree, and of course, you have some idiots doing stupid stuff with them. It's ridiculous. Like, why would you spend hundreds of dollars on a device, and then all of a sudden, guess what? You're locked up now because you tried to look up some chick's skirt. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
Straight up plain out. If you bought your Google Glass units to do something as idiotic and stupid and invasive as that, you're stupid. You're worthless.
What do you think some technologies like that and maybe that's reason Apple doesn't do some things is that people aren't ready for certain things.
I don't think Apple wants to make a device that they don't want to have. I don't think Apple would make glasses like that because they don't see the market as being supportive of such a product. Partially because of how Google Glass went, and partially because of how they would, like, the way I understand Apple is that their design teams come up with things that they like, features that they enjoy, things that they would use on a day-to-day basis. If you didn't have to wear a pair of glasses as part of your everyday routine, would you do it?
I don't know, probably not, man.
Exactly. That's a question that everybody would have to look into.
Yeah, but you can have, like, you see these sunglasses and stuff with MP3 players and stuff people wear when they're going and exercising and stuff outside. So, like, it could have a place in your day, I suppose,
But you're also talking about not only having it have a place in your day, but also having a place in your day that would be worth the $300 to $1,000 that a pair would cost. These suckers would not be cheap. Because I can't remember how much the Google glasses were, but it wasn't cheap. It wasn't.
And if
something
Apple's
that
going to do it, it's not going to be cheap either.
Yeah, Apple's going to put the best of the technology that it has inside a product like that. Yeah. So I wouldn't, like, me personally, I wouldn't wear a pair of glasses if I didn't have to. Hell, there are days that I don't even want to wear a pair of sunglasses, and I don't. I put up with having to sun on my eyes for about 2 minutes until I ignore it.
Right.
And there are people like me out there. Like, I could justify dishing out on average $500 for a pair of sunglasses.
Well, sometimes you could always market something for just like rich people. As Apple ever. You think Apple would ever do anything like that? I mean, they're already expensive, anyways.
Yeah, but Apple's price is undermined by its quality. Yeah, Apple's price is undermined by its quality. Oakley's used to be cheap until they were bought out by a different company. And now all of a sudden they're more expensive. They have a higher markup. They're made differently apparently or something like that. But overall, Apple's price is supported by the product that they put out. You will never find someone who has a determined belief in Apple who will tell you, yeah, that product wasn't worth my money. You generally won't. You'll find a couple. But as a standard rule...
Huh?
Go ahead.
I thought I saw that Unbox Therapy guy unbox like a $50,000 phone or something. You don't think Apple would ever try to do anything like that?
Oh, Apple has upgraded options. Oh, yeah. That's if you want to dish out, for, diamonds and blah, blah, blah. I mean, you can make editions of things. And there's an Apple Watch edition that's like $1,500. But you also have an Apple Watch that's $249. And that's your main level unit. That's made specifically for your regular, average, everyday user. Your user has a specific use for a product like an Apple Watch and an iPhone. You can buy the iPhone SE for $300 straight up. You know why? Because it's a product that's been out for a while. That's made specifically for a specific audience, and they decided to keep the price down for that audience. And that SE, I can tell you, will last those people quite a long time. But that's because it's made a certain way, it works a certain way, all the way up from the $300 SE to the $1,000 X. So
Yeah.
like they create products with a purpose. They have a consumer in mind when they put down an idea for a product. You know, a product like the Apple, this, oh, we can do this, and went and did it.
Well,
And
you
then
don't think
they said, huh?
you don't think Apple, they don't want to be seen as like somebody just like making a product for rich people? They still want to try to appeal to the average Joe.
Well, the thing about it is that they're already seen as a rich person's company. No, they've always had that stigma. Ever since the early days, it's a rich person's company. Only a rich person can afford an Apple product, blah, 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 blah. Until you actually have an Apple product and you're working with it for years, and you're working with it through different function and form, you start to get it. Because I didn't get it in the early days. When the iPhone was first announced, I'm like, how much is this thing? I was a BlackBerry guy to start off with. And the more and more I heard about Apple, and the more and more I heard about their devices and how long they lasted and the type of support that you get, the more and more I understood why they're priced that way. It's
actually wasn't BlackBerry, like a lot of business people had BlackBerries too. Those weren't cheap either.
Yeah. Well, you had your business style BlackBerries, and then when the BlackBerry came out with the Pearl is really when they started going towards the mainstream. It was like right before, maybe right after the iPhone came out, I think. It's been a while, so
it's just sad Blueberry or BlackBerry went down, man. You almost feel bad for them,
I think BlackBerry tried too much too fast. Because they're good devices. They'll probably still work. To be honest with you, I could probably buy a Pearl on eBay and it'll still work. Yeah. It's just that they didn't evolve when they needed to, and when they tried to evolve on certain products, a lot of the materials they used weren't the best. I think it was the BlackBerry Storm. I think it was on Verizon. One of the biggest ones they released on Verizon had a full touchscreen and a slide-out keyboard, but the touchscreen was so bad that they recalled them all within a year. I think it was. I think it was either Storm or it was another version of it, but the original version of this phone had 5 touch capacitors, one in each corner and one in the middle. How do I know this? I used to work in a call center. I used to use it all the time. Oh well, I can't use my screen anymore. It won't register anything in the left corner of the screen. Well, that's a capacitor issue. We are aware of it. No, we'll have to send you blah 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 blah. And you had to go through the steps of getting your Storm replaced or fixed. That was a blow because that was our first big touchscreen, and they got took. That right there, that decision to put those type of capacitors in the screen itself, that was the beginning of the end. Because besides the Pearl, that device was viewed as the biggest competitor to the iPhone at the time, and it got rocked.
Yeah. Well, I remember whenever I think of BlackBerry, I always think about they weren't as good with the touchscreen, but they were better with the keyboard stuff, like the sliding out keyboards. Because I remember hearing people ragging, "Oh, I got a BlackBerry with the slide out keyboard. It's awesome." Yeah.
But that's the thing is at the time everybody was wanting a touchscreen.
Yeah.
That was the big industry thing. Do you have a touchscreen? How good is your touchscreen? Does your touchscreen work this way? Does your touchscreen work that way? And BlackBerry went with this company that provided the capacitors, and they got took badly. They made a bad decision there because heavy users knocked them out within a couple of months, and it was just done. So done so quickly. It was like somebody like took out their knee with a baseball bat in a marathon race. Because after that, BlackBerry for the most part didn't matter. Done.
Yeah.
They're left literally in the dust by Android and Apple.
And the BlackBerry apps were pretty limited too. Like they were probably worse than the Windows apps, weren't they?
You had more support through BlackBerry as far as your app store went. They didn't do a lot of like media style apps at the time. They're still mostly focused on your standard use, which was still good quality. However, the best way of putting this, they were not as forward thinking as they needed to be in the market to survive. They really weren't. Simply because they didn't expect the casual market to blow up as quickly as it did. They also, I don't think, expected Android to get as big as it did that quickly. Because once the smartphone thing hit, then the casual market hit, and along with that, the cheaper Androids were coming up and taking up a lot of that space because, of course, at the time, Apple was on AT&T only. And it didn't hit Verizon, I think, Sprint until the iPhone 4. So, Apple was already dominating their corporate accounts on AT&T. So they're getting crushed there. And then they're trying to dig in on Verizon and Sprint, but Android started crushing them there. So their market share just got sandwiched. And then they tried to go prepaid, and the prepaid market was already finished with Android, and a lot of people weren't willing to dish out $150, $200 for a prepaid BlackBerry phone. Because at that time, most of your prepaid customers just use burner phones, the cheap flip phones. The prepaid smartphone market is not as lucrative as it is today. It just isn't.
What? Didn't Nokia dominate like the flip phones? Because they'd never even gotten to the touch screen point. I mean they went under long before that, didn't they?
Yeah, Nokia. For all intents and purposes, Nokia went for a function style smartphone with a keyboard. They tried to go the BlackBerry route because they had a couple X models, I think they were called. And it was just again done. The only thing that Nokia really had for it is because they had bigger phones that were also world phones that could compete with BlackBerry in that sense. But BlackBerry's quality was better than Nokia's in that aspect.
Yeah.
Even though it had a core, they had a customer core that was very hardcore. They knew they could trust BlackBerry to hold their data, to have a working phone. And a lot of people don't realize this, but BlackBerry had a couple world phones as well. So professionals, you couldn't use an iPhone to go overseas at the time. Pretty much the only world phones available for a while were BlackBerries. So BlackBerry still had this sector of the market locked down because they had good quality world phones. And when Nokia tried to squeeze in on them, they almost got 100% blocked out because of that. They stuck with what they liked, with what worked, and didn't really give Nokia a chance to kind of butt in on that.
Can you do that now with iPhones?
What, be a world phone?
Yeah. Or is that still like an empty market now?
It depends on time. You got to make sure you buy the one with the right frequencies, depending on which country you're going to. I think most of them you should be okay to be a world phone. I haven't looked it up in ages, though. But right before I left my last job, I was actually looking for a customer for some World phones, and Apple's iPhones came up on a couple lists. But I was also right about the time that Apple started selling their phones at a market price on their own on their website with a full unlock. So that could be part of it, or it could be frequency based as far as your provider goes. So
yeah.
This went a lot longer than I was expecting it to.
Right.
It's like an hour-long Apple chat.
Yeah. Well, what about the Apple? What do you think about the smart home stuff? Because didn't Apple start like trying to do competing with like the Echo and stuff?
They've been talking about it. I haven't seen any device yet as far as one being able to be sold. They're talking about it at WWDC. I didn't see them talking about it very much during the keynote this year, but that's coming. It's coming.
They could easily make a Hey Siri type of, like pod or something.
Yeah, it's gonna be called the HomePod, I think. It's gonna be a very basic device. It's gonna serve another niche market. I'm surprised they're actually getting into the market because it's so minimal. It is so minimal. I don't know anybody who has a voice assistant in their home.
Actually, Nate has one up in his apartment.
I don't know if these people have like an Iron Man complex or something, but like I don't have a need to just be like, "Hey Jarvis, what's my appointments for tomorrow?" It is so minimal, so minimal. I was almost disappointed that they got into it because now you're taking resources to come out with a HomePod.
Well, it doesn't. You don't feel like you have privacy anymore. It's like you're on the toilet and then you just start talking to it. It's like you don't feel like you're alone anymore.
I'm not jazzed about it, to be honest with you. I'm really not. It's just another device, which is really sad to say.
Well, you said before that you wouldn't have your whole home automated. You wouldn't. Yeah. You definitely wouldn't do that.
I'm not a fan of whole home automation. Maybe that's the.
You want an iPad in your toaster?
I'm not an iPad guy. The only iPad in my house right now belongs to my wife, and I've only had to mess with it a couple of times, and that's just to help my wife out with something.
Right.
That's the one device from Apple that now coming up on the HomePod. But it's just one of those devices from Apple I've never had a specific want or need for. But I understand why people like them. I definitely understand. People use iPads for their computers, but as you've seen before, I have computers, I have my iPhone, I have an iPod Touch, but there's not this kind of burning need to have a device like an iPad. Like my main thing right now is, of course, the Apple Watch, but that's mostly because I want to be able to track things as far as my health goes, and be able to accurately track steps, and have a decent heart rate monitor, and be able to check notifications. It's all about like use versus cost to me. You know what I mean?
Well, what did you say when the first iPad came out? Because a lot of people are like, nobody's going to use that or whatever.
I was skeptical. I was like, okay, this seems like it'd be a good idea, but who's going to buy it?
Yeah.
And
not you, I guess.
it's just a big iPod. That's what I tell people. I was like, you have to think of an iPad of what it is. It's literally just a really big iPod. Do you have a necessity for a device like this in your home? Now, I've seen people buy multiple iPads and just give it to their family because it's a cool Apple device. Now, looking into the iPad Pro, that's a device that like somebody like Ben can use.
Yeah.
I
I
think
want to get it too to draw on.
yeah. Oh, and you probably in conjunction with the 3D printer.
Yeah. That'd be
But
awesome.
when you stop and think about it, that type of a use is a heck of a lot of RAM to work with or whatever, but it's still a multi-use device for someone who is a creator or someone who works in like drafting or something like that and needs to have a larger view of something that's on a virtual scale. A 3D modeler, architects, professionals, iPads have a massive use in our healthcare system right now. That is that was something I never even thought of, and is such a large part of it now. Almost every single hospital you go to anymore, a doctor or a nurse or somebody has an iPad.
I think I saw a waitress have one time. Forget the restaurant.
Still, it's one of those things that it boggles the mind of the multi-use that the iPad has. But at the time, I was fairly disinterested in it.
Right.
But again, I was fairly disinterested at the Apple Watch when it was first announced, and now I'm actually in the market to buy one. Just simply, my needs have changed over the years. It's but I think that's the same for a lot of people too. Your needs as a consumer change over the years. What you may have had no interest in 5 years ago, you're all into now.
Right. It's like I'm so rich. I use an iPad for picture frames.
Dude, stuff like that has been around for years too, man. Oh my goodness, years. Like for instance, as well, I used to be like extremely big into Magic the Gathering. That was my life. That was my life for a good. I started playing in '96. I stopped in 2001 because I was unhappy with the changes they were making in the game. I started back up 2005, maybe? And I recently quit again in 2016.
Did you get a lot of money off some cards? You didn't throw those cards away, did you?
Oh, I pretty much gave most of my cards to my wife and my roommates and people I know. But it's still one of those things that for a large sum of my life was devoted, and I mean devoted 100% monetarily, my time. If I had any extra time, I was researching, I was building decks. I was doing so much. And I mean so much. I'm telling you this right now. At the peak of my time playing, I was dropping on average between $100 a week on cards.
Hey, man.
And now, like I look back on that time, I'm like, dude, what the hell are you thinking? Because I'm not into it anymore. My brain is so completely spent and done with playing the game. The first time I stopped, I had reasons. This time around, I'm just mentally spent on it. I can't do it anymore.
Well, what was the best card or like the best spell that you had or whatever?
There's a couple. The thing you got to remember about Magic is there's phases and there's eras and there's points in time where card A was the great destroyer, and 2 years later it's less than worthless in a modern format.
Yeah, unfortunate.
My personal favorite, though, man. My personal favorite isn't like a specific card. There's two sets that came out in the late '90s. One was called Unglued, and one was called Unhinged, and they were joke sets. At the time, the people were really starting to get into it. At the time, it was like super popular for what it was. So they decided that it'd be really cool and really funny just to come out with these two ridiculous sets with ridiculous cards that weren't tournament legal, but were just meant to have fun. Literally just meant to have fun. There's one card, as a matter of fact, that you actually, when you played it, you had to stand up above the table, like, it's right where you're sitting, stand up, take the card, rip it up, and throw the pieces onto the playing field. And whatever the pieces of the card hit was destroyed. I can never remember the name of it, but like doing ridiculous things like that, I thought was hilarious at the time. So like those two sets were my favorites as far as sets go. If you really want to talk specific cards, there was a card back in the Ice Age set, which is the first set I joined. It was called Jocko Hops, and it just basically destroyed everything on the board, I think it was. I'll look it up real quick. But
you never got the bug of the D&D or whatever then, huh?
I play D&D from time to time, but my interest tends to waver from it. I don't think I'm really ever going to play it again just because I'm into too much right now.
Yeah.
Jocko Hops is from the Ice Age set. Bury all artifacts like creatures and lands. But
okay,
it was one of those cards. The first card that I really had an interest in wanting. I actually told people for Christmas, I said, I want this card. I must have this card. This card I need for my deck. But that's the age I lived in. I for the longest time, that's all I did. I did nothing else. Maybe played some video games. When I hung out with my friends, we played. When I went to school during study hall, I played. No, got off work, got off school, I played, or I built. But I mean, again, now I can't do it anymore. That just shows, I guess, as far as your interest in the products that you want and you need over the years can change.
Yeah. Well, you're probably meant for a lot more than some cards,
Well,
yeah, a lot more.
I was into so
passion.
little, I was into so little when I was younger. It wasn't like I was searching for something to get into. I just got into it. I can't remember who taught me. I think it was a friend of a friend or a friend of my dad's or something. It's like, have you played this game before? No. You want to learn? Sure. I got nothing else better to do. And it was something that just caught my interest completely by accident.
Yeah. But yeah, like your story writing and your scripting and stuff, all that is definitely worth, I think, your efforts a lot more,
Well, my brain works a little bit differently. I've noticed as well. I actually put on my Facebook a couple of days ago. It's different when you're watching your favorite movies, but you're looking at techniques and style and camera positioning and scene staging. What was I watching? I was watching Shock Treatment the other night, and I was just paying more and more attention to how they shot things, about how a director, for this situation and this, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what is wrong with you? You used to be able to just watch a movie, and now you're like, oh, well, this lighting here, it works, and the camera probably should have been over. You know what I mean? It's insane to be in my mind sometimes because of that. Like, I can shut it off if I'm getting too analytical, but it's just the way my brain is like wired up right now. And this is probably, even as far as my interests go, this is the highest my interest level has ever been as far as multiple items. I've never been this interested in multiple things like this ever in my life. This is weird to me. A little foreign.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Well, it's an exciting thing, though, I think, at the same time, because you just have so much potential to go any way you want, you know?
It is exciting, but it comes at a little bit of a cost of your enjoyment of certain things. You know, if you're watching a movie that would have been acceptable to you 5 years ago, and all of a sudden you're starting to pick things apart, you know that analytical part of your brain is kind of taken over in that space, you know?
Yeah, and I'm sure it can ruin the magic of certain things for you too in movies, you know?
It's ruined my ability to enjoy some books because of how, like, when I was younger, it was just enjoy the book. Now it's, you know, I'm 50 pages in. Am I starting to enjoy it? Am I, you know, if I'm 3 chapters in, I should know where I'm at in the book if I'm 3 chapters in now. If I'm watching a television show, 3 episodes in, I'm like, is it really worth getting to the end of the story after 3 episodes? You know, but then again, it also saves you from wasting your time. Like, and this is heresy to a lot of you, but I intensely dislike The Walking Dead. And I mean intensely dislike. I hate it. I hate both of them. I hate The Walking Dead and I hate Fear the Walking Dead for a simple reason. It is not, nor has it ever been, a zombie TV show. It's a drama that just so happens to have zombies. That TV show is one of the TV shows that has killed the genre.
Really? I've never seen either of them, so
it's all about, you know.
I've heard what you said, though. It is about the drama.
It's a really shoddily put together soap opera. It's a soap opera with zombies. That's it. The zombies are not a catalyst. The zombies are not a character in of itself. The zombies are a set piece. And it's a set piece that's not used very often in either show. You know, it's one of those type of deals where you could pretty much completely eliminate the zombies from the equation, and it would maybe matter 20% of the time. You can replace the zombies with another event catalyst, and you would miss nothing. You know, people die because of zombies. Well, people could die because of a gang fight. People could die because of a riot. People could die because they got hit by a truck. You know,
or if it's just an apocalyptic scene, if you just die from just trying to get food, you know.
Yeah, you know, it's zombies are not a character; they're a set piece in those TV shows.
Yeah, well, even if it was done halfway decently, I'm just zombied out from stuff, you know.
I don't know if I would be zombied out, to be honest. But it's also the same thing with vampires too. Twilight was an absolute atrocity in filmmaking.
That was for a younger crowd.
And then you had the bastard byproduct of Twilight being 50 Shades of Grey. All 3 trash books.
50 Shades Darker.
Yeah, and then the third movie in the trash franchise, 50 Shades Freed, which I'm like, no, free me from this bad book series. It's
50 Shades crappier.
More like 50 Shades of suck. That's what it is.
Yeah. Well, I guess well, that's a good segue, though, I think, because we did want to try to get into the Inhumans. You want to talk a little bit about the Punisher, and then you did say that you had a couple wrestling things that you want to talk about, so might as well dive in.
I think the Marvel stuff Might have to wait till next week because that's like going to be another dissertation. There's a lot going on with that, especially with the Inhumans and also the Netflix deal that's going on. So I might maybe want to save that for next week. Well, that's going to be like a 45-minute combo. But
yeah. Well, what did you want to say about the wrestling stuff, though? You said, yeah.
Well, first off, we lost Bobby the Brain Heenan last weekend. If you don't know who Bobby the Brain Heenan is, one of the greatest managers to ever be in the industry. If you have the WWE Network, you go on the WWE Network and you look up Bobby the Brain Heenan. There's a couple collections with him in those, and I think one main one specifically with him, and also a documentary.
All right.
The quickest wit in the business, one of the greatest overall performers in the business, and just knew how to get a reaction out of somebody and also insult you but make you laugh at the same time. The other thing that I was going to actually go on over as well is the current state of what's kind of going on between some promoters right now. There's a little bit of a disconnect at the moment with quote unquote indie wrestling and some of the big companies. Mainly in the fact that Ring of Honor just made a huge deal about signing an exclusive contract with Cody Rhodes. Also, they just lost Adam Cole and Red Dragon to NXT not too long ago, WWE, and there's a lot of stuff going around right now as far as quality and viability of what's going on, especially also with Impact Wrestling. How much do you follow it at all?
I don't. I'm not like a big follower. Like I want to watch some stuff. I got that. They have an add-on for like the WWE for that Cody.
Get the first month free for the network, $9.99 a month. I pay for it every month. The one thing right now is attendance. Attendance is normally down in September. Fall is normally a bad month. A lot of people are disliking the fact that they don't get a lot of selection of promotions. To that I say, you have options. Everyone has options out there. Now I will say that a lot of your YouTube options are now limited because YouTube has deemed wrestling a non-ad friendly entertainment spiel.
Really, wrestling is not that ad friendly. I mean, they get ads all the time on there, don't they? Like promotions and stuff or whatever, sponsors.
Well, when you talk about like YouTube wrestling, there's a lot of promotions that within the past 2 to 3 years, like WCPW out of England, that relied on the YouTube ad revenue to run shows and to be able to pay talent.
Well, yeah.
I consider that a mistake myself, and specifically why now that YouTube has deemed those non-ad friendly. So, in a way, I was right in that.
YouTube's just going to take everything off of YouTube. You're not going to be able to watch anything on there now.
Well, it's not that they're not hosting it. It's just that it's going to put ads on wrestling. Only the big, like pretty much right now, I think it's just Ring of Honor, WWE, and I think New Japan Pro Wrestling. And those are really the big three right now, except for like TNA. But
well, I mean, you're not gonna. Nobody's gonna be able to make money on YouTube, though. That's the main thing.
There's still money to be made. It's just that you have to make a lot of consistent content, fall within standard guidelines, and have it be a particular length of time. Because that's really what the algorithm recently has been going towards. Length of content and ability to get inside the advertising loop. Unless you're scoping out on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouNow, on every single social media known to man, your only hope is to get into the advertising loop and somehow get recommended suggestive views with that. There's money. You just got to work for it. You really got to punch in for it. And you got to stay away from the hard topics. There's a lot of that go around right now.
Yeah, it's like any kind of controversial thing where there's like more than one opinion.
Basically, that's really the truth. There's not a lot of room. Really, not a lot of room right now.
Yeah. By the way, is it true? I heard that Dwayne's going to run for president.
There's rumors that Dwayne is thinking about it. Yes. I'm not sure if it's just going to be a publicity stunt or whatnot, but he has publicly said he might run for president. I don't see it happening myself, but you never know. You never know.
Hey, Jesse Ventura was governor.
Yep.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. He wasn't in wrestling, but I mean, mainly in bodybuilding.
But
who would you like if you could pick a wrestler though? Who would you like to see as president? You think is, like an all-around good guy?
Bob Backlund.
Really?
Yep, Bob Backlund. Gotta love
it. What were you saying though? Like about you don't think that the quality with the WWE, like you think that's getting lowered? You're saying?
No, I think that people are raising the bar way too high right now. There's some controversy about a promo down live last Tuesday. Now, we have a lot of people on the internet saying, oh, bring back TV 14, bring back the Attitude Era. And then something controversial happens, and those same people, well, that was just too far. That was too insulting. And, they should really think about what they're putting on their television show. Come on.
So they're like, it's too edgy. They want something edgy, and then they're like, it's too edgy.
It's like back in the 90s, nothing was too edgy. Let me set the scene for you, okay? Wrestler who's a porn star sleeps with another wrestler's sister who falls in love with him. The one wrestler has a group who abduct him and try to cut off his penis. That was a story of Val Venus and Kai and Tai. That wasn't considered too off color back then because it was rated PG or TV 14, and it basically went on that. A lot of that storyline was like close to 11 o'clock at night. So not a lot of kids saw that, but it's still rated TV 14. And it was something they got almost no blowback from because
people didn't care.
You had sacrifices on the show back in the 90s. You had, I'm drawing a blank all of a sudden. But you had Stone Cold Steve Austin flipping the bird and stuttering his boss. You had Degeneration X, with the suck it. It back then things like that were commonplace, and the people who want it back are now complaining that they're being fed these little breadcrumbs, and they're like, "Oh, it's too far." Come on, you either want to have a little bit of edgy content every once in a while, or you don't.
Well, why do you think the world's gotten so pussified? I
don't know. I really don't know. We seem to go through these types of changes every 10 to 15 years. I think eventually we'll go back to at least one or two programs that will be edgy and be forward-thinking, and then we'll be back in another PG era again. And I'm not just talking about wrestling. I'm talking about in general for all television shows. Back in the 90s, hearing language that these days seems so offensive, and back in the 90s, that was everyday talk.
Yeah, I think they let nip slips go on like nighttime television shows. I remember back in the
Yeah,
90s.
it's one of these things. It's all cyclical. It's all cyclical. They'll come back around, you know. But I mean, and now we're also living in an age where everybody's so pandered to. And we are living in a somewhat different era of having a PG lifestyle. Although,
Yeah, everybody
when
needs
that
their
extreme
safe space.
content comes out, yeah, everybody needs a little box that they have to be protected. But like a movie like Deadpool comes out, instant money. It comes out, instant money. And the reason why is that there's an audience for it.
Yeah.
Part of the wrestling talk was that WWE put out a survey last week, stating, would you be interested in, this company on the WWE network, this company on the WWE network, and then, out of all things, put in a question: would you be interested in seeing Edge on the network or a relaunch of ECW? Now, you want to talk about racy, edgy, in your face. This is something. ECW was the rogue organization back in the 90s. ECW was my favorite promotion back in the 90s. ECW was something your 18 to 34 demographic could watch, and they wanted the blood. They wanted, like just straight up violence. They wanted this kind of just gritty type of television, and ECW gave that to them. I'm not sure how much do you know anything about ECW?
Not too much, but I do remember it being gritty. I also remember this one wrestling show that I used to watch that I think it was only like on it didn't last a long time. I don't think it was on, I forget if it was just like on FX, but they called it like Thunder or something. Thunder Wrestling.
WCW Thunder on TBS.
Yeah. WCW. Were you into that?
I was out of WCW by like 97, 98. I pretty much watched WWF and ECW. Like WCW was very much a family-friendly promotion for a long time. Long time. But ECW was something different. Even when WWF and WCW copied them, ECW was still the original, and they were like just something so fresh. The first time I watched ECW, I was like just enthralled.
Is that what Raw is?
Everything about it. Huh?
Is that what Raw is? Like, like Raw SmackDown or whatever?
No, ECW was its own promotion back in the 90s. And then
Okay.
WWF bought them in 2001. But I'll once we go off the air, I'll send you a couple links for some ECW stuff, and you will be like, "Holy crap, dude! They let this on television." You know what I mean? You will seriously be like, "What in the hell?" But they made it to pay-per-view. They did a good couple of years, so.
Yeah, have you watched any? Was there any good pay-per-view shows lately?
I had No Mercy tonight, but I was preoccupied with a couple other things. Recently, not a whole lot. I mean, SummerSlam was good. I'm interested in Hell in a Cell. It's coming up. Hell in a Cell is one of my favorite events.
Oh, okay.
Of course, Survivor Series is coming up in November, so I'm always stoked for that. So, and then of course it's once the beginning of the year starts in, kicks in January, the Royal Rumble, and then I'm not sure what's going to be in February, but of course April is going to be WrestleMania. So that's when the big storylines really kick off is like January to April. So
Okay. Yeah, I just thought it was going to be like pretty crazy month next month with Halloween and everything.
No, not really. Uh, September, October is slow months in wrestling. It's not no really super big house draws because I mean school's back in session. No, it's mostly just getting new talent over and working with them to make sure that they can draw. So
Well, I just mean like in general for you because you're going to be like probably pretty crazy with trying to get stuff done.
yeah, that's going to be interesting. I have a vacation coming up in October that I'm super stoked on. I'll be able to get a couple other things done during that. I might be able to at least get a running draft of the horror project I have going on. Um, I'm still working on some stuff for the book, which, like I said, I actually had to put that to side a little bit. I'm still kind of bouncing ideas around for that. Um, YouTube wise, right now, I was going to put up a new video on Friday, but I had some editing problems, so I actually had to push that back. So I'm working on getting that one set up. And now I have, I'm still working on my 2 Apple videos. Now it's going to be 4 Apple videos now for Legacy Max. So my plate is very, very much full.
Well, what do you like to do as far as like just like general celebrating Halloween stuff? Like we should get together, do like a haunted house or something, you know?
Well, that's what I always do. Yeah. We go to Sandusky and go to the Ghostly Manor. We like to do that. We used to do Halloween weekends at Cedar Point, but I mean, it's monetarily it wasn't no the money that it costs to go to Cedar Point is insane.
Yeah.
We also do the Renaissance Festival in October as well. We like to go down to that, and we just hit a lot of the haunted spots around here too. We try to hit the haunted prison because we have, of course, Robert Kurtzman's Blood Prison here at the OSR complex. A couple other haunted stuff around here too. So we try to hit a couple of haunted stuff around here during that week as well.
Oh, we should get together and do something, man.
Maybe actually
That'd be
get
cool.
Frank to do something for once.
Yeah.
Oh, and Ben too. Ben too.
Yeah.
We have actually seen Ben in person in like 6 months, man.
I haven't seen Ben since college, so that was like 2004.
Yeah, but he lives like a mile from me, literally.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 miles from me.
Well, you stopped working at the Walmart, so
I used to see him on average about once a week then. So
yeah. But you got anything else going on? Any other still the usual Iron Addicts promotions and stuff?
no, not particularly. I'm still doing stuff for Iron Addicts. I'm still wrecking that. So of course, shop ironaddictsbrand.com. They sometimes do run sales, so check their Facebook. But if you pop my code N10 Douglas R, that's letter N, number 10 Douglas R, in the order notes, I'll let them know that I sent you. And I do want to take a second, real quick, to kind of bring one quick thing up before we go.
Oh, okay.
There is a lot of people right now, a lot of people in a lot of different Facebook groups and YouTube groups and pages and whatnot, talk a lot of trash about people like us. No, every week, or sometimes in a lot of other people's cases every day, that we take time out of our days to produce what we hope is quality content for you. You know,
Right.
and some people disagree with what we do. I understand that. I completely understand that. I get a lot of feedback on my Facebook and also my Instagram and my body space on bodybuilding.com. And every once in a while, someone comes along that just seems to just want to be like, the odd one out and be the antagonist.
Right.
If you happen to be one of those people out right now, whether live or on the download, understand we don't do this for you. We do this for us, and we do this for the people who watch and the people who enjoy the content that we have. You can sit back in your armchair quarterbacking all day long and say, oh, I could do that better. I could do this better. Oh, that looks like trash. I could do that. I could do this. But until you get off your ass and make a better product and put your name and your face out there like we do every single week, and like I said, a lot of people's cases every single day. If I'm in the gym and I take a picture, whether I'm on the elliptical, whether I'm on the bike after a workout, I'm putting myself out there. That way I can help others and hopefully push someone to do something better.
Yeah, it's like instead of actually complaining about our show, go and do something productive,
Exactly. You think you're better? Do better. Be better. Have fun with that. But if you're going to try to drag down the people that I follow, the people that I know, and the people that I've made friendships with over on these internets here, then I got two words for you. And this is that we don't do this for people who don't appreciate it. We do it for the people who do appreciate it. Now, that said, if you want to come on and watch an entire freaking 2-hour podcast or whatever and then talk smack, there's one thing that you seem to misunderstand. The only thing you've done by sitting there and listening to somebody or watching somebody talk about something that you completely have no interest in or don't like, the only thing you're doing is putting money in my pocket. And you know what? You go ahead, you have as much fun as you want to giving me money, because that's what you're doing. You're giving me the ad revenue from you watching me for 2 hours or 1 hour or 15 minutes or however long the video is, or if you like that Instagram, you make me look that much better. Have fun. Just remember, if you're a hater, you're still a fan.
Yeah, it is kind of funny how a lot of people who are haters consistently will watch the stuff and they try to hate on it.
You know what? I don't like The Walking Dead. You know what I don't do? Watch The Walking Dead.
Right.
I don't like it, but I will watch it every week and contribute to the ratings of the show. No, that's the most backwards thing you could ever think of doing. You hate me, but you're invariably supporting me, because the more and more people talk trash, especially if you come back and do it multiple times, those are the people that I love. I just went through a situation not too long ago on a couple YouTube videos where this guy, every single video is commenting, coming back and commenting, and I comment back, and then he be coming back, commenting even more. So the views on this video were just ba-bing, ba-boom, 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 higher than some of the other videos that have been there for 4 years. You're just giving me money, bro. That's all you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, the only time I could see, like, if you try to still watch something and complain or whatever, is like if you've been a fan of something for a long time and then like the structure of the show changes or the people in it are different. There's different people or whatever. But I mean, I guess if that's the case, if you wanted them to change it back to the way that they had it, or you want to. You still have power by just not watching the show,
Saying that. What do you mean? No, it's very simple. You don't like it, don't watch it.
Right.
If you don't like it, stay away from it. It's a really novel concept, because you're just wasting your time by watching it, wasting your time by commenting on it. And the more and more that you're going back and forth with me or whoever, you're just drawing more attention to it, which guarantees my existence on this platform. So, Who's really the winner here? Who's really the winner? The person who's sitting there sipping on their Mountain Dew saying, I'm going to go ahead and mess with this guy, or the person who takes a couple minutes to read that, knows they made a couple cents off you, and decides to just make sure you come back and make another comment. That way you can give me more money. You know?
Hey, more views.
Yeah. More views, more money, more incentive for me to do my job.
Well, some people just want to get noticed, I guess, you know. They just do it for attention.
Hey, their attention or their intention means nothing to me. So,
and those kind of people are just worthless, right?
They're worth to some people, but no. Until
well,
they
the
prove
people
otherwise,
that try to bring you down, you know, the people that don't want you to succeed or whatever, who don't want to be happy for you. I mean, those are not the kind of people that you want to spend your time with, you know.
Yeah, that's why I have, you know, actual friends and people. If they have criticism, it's constructive criticism, and people who also give criticism as such a way as to help me be better at what I do. I don't have a problem with taking constructive criticism. I have a problem with people just saying, "Oh, you suck. I can do better." Well, obviously not, because you're commenting on my video, or you're commenting on someone I know's video, who is way more successful than person X will ever be, and more relevant than person X will ever be.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to make a criticism, just you got to point it at something specific. You know, you could say, well, this segment could be, you know, like shorter, or you could do this with X, Y, and Z, you know?
Yep. But, que sera, sera. And on that note, it's 20 to 1 in the morning. Holy crap.
Yeah. Went a little bit longer on this one.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
But it's all good, man. It's all fun. We have fun. That's what's important.
This is true. This is true.
That's more important, I think, than the money itself, you know? Is that we enjoy it. Because if you don't enjoy it, then it's just like work to you, you know?
Yep. And if this was like work, I wouldn't do it. That's for damn sure.
Yep. But, anyways, shot a scissor.
Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, goodbye and good night. I think for sure all you haters couldn't come up with this fat beat.
Right.